Taking care of one's own body is a simple act happening every day, in small choices repeated with serenity. It is not about rigidity or harsh rules, but about conscious care, recognizing the preciousness each cell holds, the energy that allows us to walk, smile, and help those around us. When we say the body is a temple, we do not elevate it to an abstract idea, but acknowledge that what we eat, how we sleep, how we move, all of this makes up the long dialogue between presence and well-being. Food, in its variety, can be nourishment for balance. Simple choices, prepared with care, that feed the body without weighing it down. With every meal, we can remember that nutrition does not have to be a battle between desire and discipline, but a serene conversation with the earth that sustains us, with the work of those who grew the food, with the joy of savoring something that brings us vitality. Moderation, when understood well, is an act of self-love. It does not deny pleasure. It enriches it, allowing fullness to arrive without guilt, helping the body find the right note between the energy needed and the rest that restores. Walking through life with this caring gaze also involves simple choices, repeated day after day. The body needs water to stay light, sleep that rests the hours of the mind, movements that awaken circulation without violence. Gentle practice of physical activity can be a celebration of life, a sunrise walk, the rhythm of a breath that moves with the body, the stretch of hands when waking, the curiosity to discover where each step may lead us without hurry. It is not about seeking perfection, but about listening to the body's signals, knowing when to slow down, recognizing that recovery is also part of strength. In this balance, nourishment becomes a bridge between what the body needs and what the heart enjoys. There is room for simple moments, such as a warm soup, a plate of vegetables that glow with color, a little protein that sustains without weighing down. And there is room for the joy of sharing these meals with loved ones, because food, when shared, takes on an even more serene quality. It not only satisfies, it also brings us closer. If this view of care touched you, subscribe to Daily Reflections for Life to receive more reflections. Like this video and enable notifications so we can continue walking this daily path of care. But there is a truth that touches deeper than the body can perceive alone. The soul also needs nourishment. Amid the tasks, the pressures of the day, the flood of rapid images and sounds that surround us, there is a space that asks for care, a thirst that is not quenched by simply changing visible habits. The soul is not governed solely by external discipline. It seeks something not always seen but clearly felt when we find what quiets the inner noise. In that space, the nourishment that truly sustains is not only what lands on the table, but what we read, what we contemplate, what we think with calm. Reading in a simple and sincere way can become an essential nourishment for life that is not confined to flesh nor to the crevices of the body. It offers rest for the mind, clarity for choices, courage to face difficult questions. When reading becomes a habit, the inner home gains a stable place where the mind can rest, where imagination can travel without getting lost, where memory can store small treasures of observation and understanding. We could say that a life of reading is a form of silent prayer, a meeting with the possibilities that inhabit each page. It is not about devouring titles as if chasing a medal, but about cultivating with gentleness a friendship with the words that present themselves. Good books are not only sources of entertainment, they are companions who stay with us in quiet moments, reach out when fatigue arrives, reminding us that the world is far larger than our daily labels. Across the pages, wisdom awakens in different hues. Some lessons reveal themselves with the simplicity of a fable, others with the depth of a reflection that crosses generations, even when presented in the voice of someone distant in time or place. What matters is not a pile of ideas, but the possibility of seeing the world with new eyes, hearing voices that help us recognize our own humanity, feeling in every paragraph that we are not alone. The practice of reading regularly does not require grand rituals nor rooms lit perfectly. It can begin with a short time, a page read before the house goes to sleep, or a page at the kitchen table where the day still holds the freshness of early certainties. What makes the difference is the cadence, choosing with simplicity reads that fit the spirit of the moment, that impose no more than we can hear, that accompany us without pressuring us. By making reading a habit, we open a door to an inner life that depends not only on what we already know, but that is capable of welcoming the new, the unexpected, the challenge to revisit old positions. Because words have this power, they not only inform, but shape the way we breathe, the way we look at others, the way we place ourselves before difficulties. When these texts are chosen with care, they become more than content. They become witnesses that help us understand that each reader is a person in formation, learning from the experience of each page. One does not need to abandon the world around us to dive into this nourishment for the soul. Reading can, on the contrary, make us more present in the world we live in. When we read with attention, the words we encounter leave marks that go beyond memory. They sharpen sensitivity, help us notice nuances previously invisible, enrich the ability to listen. And listening is essential to life because, in many moments, what most needs care is not only the body, but the relationship with others. A well-chosen book can teach patience with human fault, to recognize that each person carries a story that deserves respect, to understand the complexity of a decision that may seem simple on the outside. Thus, the nourishment of the soul is not reduced to moments of solitary introspection. It deepens when it connects with the world, when the words we read translate into acts of kindness, gestures of solidarity, a listening more attentive to what the other needs. The daily practice of reading, then, is not a task to fulfill, but a gift we give to ourselves by choosing an accessible reading, by opening the book with curiosity, by allowing the story to unfold before our eyes. We gradually build a reserve of serenity that external noise cannot erase. Reading, in this sense, is not escape, but the establishment of an inner house where the mind can rest, reflect, transform, and as the plot advances or the mortar of an idea solidifies, we witness in the reader's practice a humility that is not seen in those who think they hold all the answers. For in reading, we recognize that each person has their own universe of learning, and that each book, in its uniqueness, offers a clue to better understand one's own path. There is also the delicacy of choosing readings that speak of simple life, of humility, of compassion. Wisdom is not only in the great works that shaped civilizations, but also in the voices that sing of everyday beauty, the work that is done with care, the patience that accompanies caring for someone beloved, the courage revealed in the patience to wait for the right time, the courage to admit a difficulty, the way one learns from mistakes without giving in to discouragement. When reading offers this kind of nourishment, it becomes a lit candle in a quiet room, illuminating without intimidating, warming without imposing. The reader learns then to recognize that true knowledge is not a collection of facts, but a practice of opening. We make space for new questions, for feelings that sometimes do not fit into a single answer, for the possibility of walking with more grace, even when the path seems steep. Of course, not every book will suit this role of stable nourishment for the soul. Some readings disperse, improvise illusions, fix attention only on the speed of consumption. Yet the conscious choice is not a rigid rule, but a guide, selecting works that help us traverse nights without restlessness, that offer lucidity to understand what happens around us, that remind us to care for who we are without becoming exhausted by the promise of always being informed. Nourishing reading is not necessarily the most difficult nor the most erudite. It can be simple, direct, close to everyday life. The essential is conscious presence, the curiosity that does not go out, the reminder that life can be enriched by what teaches us to see more honestly what we live. Throughout this journey of caring for the body and feeding the soul, we sense a simple truth. What sustains us is a continuous practice, repeated with gentleness, that adapts to the present time. It is not about demanding perfection, nor turning reading into an obstacle that trades one rush for another. It is, rather, about building a routine that respects the pace of existence, that allows the body to rest, that offers the spirit moments of fertile quiet. When this balance is cultivated, we discover that life takes on a different quality. The energy that once seemed only a force to win the day becomes a presence that accompanies actions with patience. The aggression that sometimes follows us yields to a softer clarity that leads us to choose words, the tone of conversations, the way we listen with more care. The health of the body strengthens not only through the discipline of habits, but through the constant companionship with the serenity that comes from balanced nourishment, proper sleep, mindful movement. The health of the soul, in turn, grows as reading becomes a bridge to empathy, recognition, the joy of learning with others, even when that other is simply a voice printed on a page. We can then contemplate life as a great house where each room feeds in different ways. In one room, the table fills with colors, with simple smells that feed the body with what is most essential for survival and well-being. In another room, shelves hold books that talk to the heart, reminding us that the world is much larger than the doubts we carry at home. There is also the veranda of reflection, where words, ideas, and doubts meet with renewed calm, where the reader can face themselves without masks, recognizing both the strength and the fragility that make up human life. When we care for each of these rooms, the inner house becomes a space of balance, of welcome, of dignity for oneself and for others. And in that space, reading is not merely an activity. It is a practice of presence, present in time, present in what we give of ourselves to books, present in what we receive in return, in the form of wisdom that seeps into thoughts, attitudes, daily choices. I invite you, reader or listener of this reflection, to try for a few moments. A breath that welcomes body and mind. Allow the body to receive enough nourishment. Let the water find its smooth path. Let sleep rest the hours with the sweetness the body needs. At the same time, let the soul find a place to rest among the pages of a simple reading that does not cut life short, but adds meaning. Choose a book that can be read calmly, that allows pauses to think, to observe, to feel what the text awakens in you. It does not have to be a monumental work. What matters is the presence of the nourishment it offers, the possibility to expand the heart, to broaden understanding, to make the weight of difficulties less arduous. And at the end of each time you close the book, carry not only the memory of a story, but the faith that learning is an act that transforms, that softens courage, that lights the path with a light that does not fade. Life, thus, reveals itself simply and profoundly. We are beings built by attention to the body, by honesty with what we choose to place at the table, by the gentleness of each gesture we make to care for ourselves and those we love, and the soul, which sometimes remains hidden by the rush, finds in the rhythm of reading a way to breathe with greater breadth, to look inward with more clarity, to return to the world with a serenity that is not passivity, but a quiet strength. When body and soul receive this care, when physical nourishment is accompanied by the literary nourishment that feeds the spirit, we experience a way of living that is not spectacular or dramatic, but steady, present, true. Life takes on a tone of its own. Simplicity ceases to be a sign of poverty and becomes a choice of quality, depth, contentment with the essential. This text, not as a rule, but as an invitation, suggests that the path of each day can begin with a small, constant decision to care for the body with mindful nourishment, without exaggeration, with lightness, to care for the soul with books that welcome, that teach, to see life with fullness, that help cultivate inner peace without denying the world around us. When this decision becomes practice, life transforms not by a big leap, but by the serene repetition of acts that carry meaning. The nourishment that enters through the mouth and the nourishment that enters through the mind walk together, entwined, offering the heart the balance it seeks. And in this balance, we discover that we are not only what we feel or think at this moment, but what we choose to cultivate day after day, month after month, year after year, in every gesture of care, in every page read, in every pause to listen to one's own breathing. We open space for the presence of something greater than fear, than haste, than loneliness. Something that can be called wisdom or serenity, or simply a life well lived, when we give to the days the dignity of investing in it with a clear vision that the common good begins in each of us. If there is a message that can cut through the world's noise, it is this. Caring for the body is respecting the life given to us, and caring for the soul is honoring the possibility to learn to love with deeper depth. Books are bridges between what we are today and what we can be tomorrow. They do not promise perfection or provide easy answers. They offer, indeed, tools to understand, to question, to choose more carefully, the words we use, to recognize the value of each person with whom we share the path. May we then cultivate every day the practice of nourishing the body with simplicity, of nourishing the soul with reading that elevates, that inspires, that encourages. May the balance between what we receive at the table and what we receive at the mind lead us to a life more whole, more serene, more humane, and that, when we look back, we may see not only the hours we lived, but the quality of life we chose to cultivate in each moment, in each decision, in each dialogue with ourselves and with the world. Before we close this reflection, allow one final simple suggestion. Make reading a daily encounter that is not rushed, nor imposed, but desired, that has the flavor of curiosity, gently, as in a conversation with a friend who knows how to listen. Let the physical table where we place the plate and cup become also a table of reading, a place where silence is respected and words are invited to breathe slowly. Let the practice of caring for the body not be seen as a heavy obligation, but as an expression of gratitude for the life given to us, for the capacity to experience the beauty of being present, of walking, of smiling, of loving. And may the soul find in the pages not only solace, but the autonomy to dream of a world worth conquering, a life worth caring for, a relationship with others worth building with patience, honesty, and compassion. Thus, over hours, days, and years, what begins with a simple gesture of nourishment and reading can become a way of being in the world. Less aggressive, more attentive, more kind to oneself and to every creature who crosses our path. And this, I believe, is a life worth living. If this reflection did you good today, subscribe to Daily Reflections for Life. Enable notifications, like, comment what stayed with you, and share this message so more people celebrate the care of body and soul.